This is ridiculous.
The Truth Network.
Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
All right, now listen up.
Exclusively on The Truth Network, 99.3 The Truth FM.
Showtime. 3:06 on the 6th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. It's Friday. Fridays are 15% more fun, and they're more fun because you're a part of the show today. I'm excited about this. If you saw my Facebook page, you know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to take the whole 2 hours today, and we're going to unpack this, and it's your voice I want to hear. This show is not going to work unless you call in and tell us what you think. And basically, here's the premise, and we're going to dig deeper into this and dig deeper into this and dig deeper into this. Brian Myers is here, so we've got like a smart person, an intellect. Of course, we've got Bob Monserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat, and the service legend is Truth Text. He's always common sense, and whatever is the opposite of smart and common sense, Frank's here. And then, of course, Chris Roloff from KTIA is here. Jeb is producing, and later on, you're never going to believe what happened. You remember the guy I told you about that got a hold of me on Facebook that said that he was related to me, and I was like, yeah, what do you want? And he said he's my great uncle.
Yes, that sounds familiar.
Okay, well, he called me, what's today, Friday? He called me Wednesday, and he was driving through and wanted to stop by and have dinner last night, so we had dinner with him, and he conveniently is spending the weekend.
Long lost relative, huh?
But this guy's kind of cool. He's kind of cool. Now, he's not a follower.
Okay.
But... oh, is he listening? I don't think he's listening. Well, anyway, he's kind of like I used to be. He's not a follower, but he thinks he is.
Sure.
And he just, he pushes back a little bit when I challenge him on some of the things he says.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's going to stop by later on. But we can't. If you're watching Webcast 1, we won't have him on camera because he says he's wanted.
Oh, no, he's one of those, huh?
And I said, well, I don't really want to house a criminal. He said, oh, no, I'm not wanted by the government. I'm wanted by the mob.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So anyway, he's going to come by today.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's apparently in witness protection.
I don't know that.
Maybe he thinks he is.
Yeah, I don't. That's a good thing, Frank. I don't know. That's a good point. But he's a very nice, unique individual. And by the way, he either knows things... he's either one of my relatives. Yeah. Or he knows things that, okay, I'll let him be my relative. Because he knew things, he just knew things. He just knew things about both of my grandfathers and their brothers. Yeah. And he just knew stuff.
Who is he related to?
He is the grandmother that I don't like. Yeah. It would be her father's brother. So it would be it would be my great uncle. It would be my grandmother's great uncle.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe it's great. I don't know. No, because he's not that old. He's only like 80.
You're brave.
He's
you
only
let someone like that. If I wasn't sure this guy's related to me, I don't know, I'd let him stay at my house.
Well, I've got Picasso.
You've got the killer dog.
I got the killer dog. And if I ever need anything backup, I can call Frank and his hillbilly friends.
So you're gonna let him stay at your house, swim in your pool, pet your dog, eat your food.
Well, CJ's gone this weekend. Oh, okay. She went back to see her sisters for Mother's Day, and so I'm alone. She said she was okay because she wasn't there. She was a little uncomfortable last night, and quite frankly, she locked the bedroom door. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Why
right?
wouldn't you? Smart woman.
She's a smart woman. All right. So
what's the name of your dog?
I have two. The older one, who is a white Whippet / Jack Russell. Okay, his name is Picasso.
Okay.
Like the painter.
Okay.
And then the little runt that thinks he owns the place. He's supposed to be a 6-pound Chihuahua, and he's like a 12-pound Chihuahua. Long hair, brown. His name is Coco, and that's Mommy's baby. And
but Picasso could definitely lay the hurt on you if you needed him to.
No.
Let's just say that dog can jump as high as your head.
Yeah. The only thing he wants to do is love you. But here's what Picasso does. If I look at Picasso and I say, go get him, go get that puppy, he just starts barking at you. And he's got the teeth, but he's never...
Okay.
He can't even beat up on little Coco.
Okay.
But Picasso's one of those dogs that sits in the front yard and barks at people when they come by. He's a great watchdog.
Okay.
But he's never hurt a single person
in
the world. All right. So here is the premise. And we're kind of getting this from an article written by, who'd you say?
Carl Trueman. And
he's a British?
He's from England. He is, I'm trying to remember what his current position is. And it escapes me right at the moment. But Carl Trueman is a brilliant church historian and theologian. He's not so good when it comes to politics and culture, in my opinion.
All right.
But he's brilliant.
Is he?
And you can tell that by reading this article.
Is he snarky?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay. Does he make he makes Chris not even look snarky? Because the snarkiest guy in this building, this radio
Am I
station,
snarky? Is that a thing?
Well, you always said you commit to me and say, "I'm sorry, I got snarky today." That's a term.
That's true.
That's not a term. We don't use snarky in Nebraska. That's
I don't know. I think Mac out-snarked Chris at least 2 or 3 times last week.
Well, then
with backhanded slaps.
I better step it up then.
So was this a snark fest?
We'll try.
Last week?
No. All right. So, and if you want to read this article, it's on my Facebook page. Posted it, about 8:30 this morning because I tagged all you guys so you know what's going on. Basically, here's what this article says in just putting it all together. So I sit back here, and I believe that I am part of the culture, Brian. I'm a married man. I have grandchildren. I have a job. I pay my taxes, but I complain about them. I vote in every election that I possibly can. I'm sure I've missed one somewhere, but I don't remember. I participate in my community and my government, but I'm not a what do you call it? I'm not a fanatic. Okay. I'm the culture. I'm a traditional white man, and I don't know if color has anything to do with it or gender has to do with it, but I'm that traditional, religious, faithful, cultural guy. And I look at people who Black Lives Matter and Hands Up, Don't Shoot and transgendered bathrooms and hate speech and it's okay to kill babies and they're the anti-culture, right? I mean, they don't have anything to do with what we are not heading in the same direction. We do not agree on too many things, including the essentials. The article this guy writes says, no, Mac, you, the Jesus freak, that has this book called the Bible, that is not liquid. It does not change. It does not change with the times. The culture doesn't change the Word of God. There is no new prophet. This is it, Jesus, 2,000 years ago. He says we're the anti-culture. Because the culture is doing what they're doing. Cultures change. To be a culture, you don't have, I mean, if I ask you about a culture of sour cream or a culture of milk, you're going to think of something that's progressing, that's changing, that's cooking, that's, moving forward. He says they're the culture. They're the ones that have it right, even though he's a theologist, Frank? Theologian. He says you and I are the anti-culture. So the question I want to answer today on the phone, and just like we did a couple weeks ago on my birthday, I'm going to take notes, and we're going to count the calls. We had 43 contacts a couple weeks ago on my birthday. My goal's 44. Just one more. That's all I want.
That's all I need.
Just like Jerry Lewis always wanted one more dollar, right? $1 more.
And this ashtray, and this chair, that's all I need.
So 515-244-0077. 515-244-0077. That's where you can call, and Jeb will get you on the air. Yep. 6 lines deep. Love to hear from you. Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat is watching the Service Legends Truth text line. There you can text, and that's 515-809-0993. And your answer can be this simple. Are the Christians the culture, or are the Christians the anti-culture? Are Christians the culture, or are we the anti-culture? This lady, or this article talks about how, of course, for those saps, I'm gonna read from it now. Of course, for those saps who use the word culture but really mean pop culture, and therefore assume that apostrophe Lady Gaga or the artistic contributions of some slack-jawed 20-something with ill-fitting trousers, a pair of overpriced sneakers, and a recording contract qualify as examples of such the pop culture, then yes, we still have a cultural of a sort, but Christians are not a part of that. By choice. He's saying we choose this. 515-244-0077. Those are the numbers you can call. We want to hear from you. Are the Christians the culture, or are they the anti-culture? Let's go to the phones where Norm is standing by. Norm, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing today, Norm?
Doing well, Mac. How you doing, my friend?
Good, buddy. So, Norm, are we the anti-culture or the culture? What are the Christians?
Well, I'm going to answer your question with a question. When Jesus came, was he the culture or the anti-culture?
Say that again.
When Jesus came, when he started his ministry, was he the culture
No.
or the anti-culture?
He would have been the anti-culture.
Okay, what's changed? It's been a battle ever since.
All right, so Norm, you're saying that Christians are the anti...
Christians are the anti-culture because we are living in a world that does not belong right now to us. This is the adversary's world. We're in a spiritual battle here all the time.
All right, thank you, Norm.
We are battling that culture.
Thank you for calling, Norm. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. 515-244-0077. So who's the anti-culture? Christians anti-culture or Christians to culture? It's your voice I want to hear next, live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Yeah, no, you had me written down for this day.
Okay. 21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21, 6th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. Brian Meyer showed up today and said, I'm supposed to be on the show today, right? Sure. Well, but I like you on the show. I think you
really did ask me, buddy.
No, I believe you. I just...
You made me check my calendar and everything.
For some reason, I didn't write it down, but I'm glad you're here. Because, in fact, I think this is a God thing because this is right up your alley. You know, you guys on 3 times caffeinated choice. No.
Thoughts.
Uncaffeinated thoughts, right?
Caffeinated thoughts, buddy. Caffeinated thoughts.
So you guys on caffeine, you guys talk about this stuff all the time. I mean, this is right up your bailiwick. Yeah, culture and society and stuff like that. And, oh boy, I said something wrong to Shane, though. I did. And I apologize to him. I said something wrong. I challenged him on something. He's a never Trump guy. And I just think that's a ridiculous position to take 6 months before the general election. You know, you got guys out there yelling and screaming that the Republican Party is all falling apart and da 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 da. Maybe this is the new Republican Party. You know, they were called Reagan Republicans. There was a reason they were called Reagan Republicans because Reagan changed them. He changed the Republican Party. What if we now have Trump Republicans?
Now the real question is, did you and Shane shake hands and make up?
I gave him a wet, sloppy kiss.
I was going to say, they were doing way more than shaking hands earlier, so.
Moving right along.
All right, so 515-244-0077. That's the phone line where you can call in, and like Norm just did, and we can hear your voice. Or you can text in to the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. And I will give those to you several times. What I would encourage you to do if you're in the car, write them down and then put them in your phone so you've always got them. It'd be Max text line and Max call-in line, or KTIA text, KTI 993 text, dum text. I don't care how I'm in there. Just make sure you can get to it. All right.
Zippity boo bappity.
You have a text, Robert? All right. Robert,
I do.
All right. Who's it from?
Who's it from? You want me to give their phone number?
No. Do they say a name?
Jonathan.
All right. Go ahead.
The culture is worldly. As Christians, we are to live in the world, but we are not of the world and worldly things.
Okay, so what I hear him saying, tell me if I'm right, guys, and we're going to use a different term. Anti is the word that this guy wrote, the guy that wrote this article, but we're going to call it, you said counterculture.
Well, that's the word that's typically used. That's maybe Mr. Truman doesn't mean it that way, but the way I've always understood the discussion, it's culture and counterculture.
All right, so what I hear Jonathan saying is that's another vote for we are the counterculture. Christians are the counter.
Yep, what that thing you're trying to say.
Counterculture, Frank.
Okay, the preface of the article mentions something about an unholy trinity, an unholy alliance.
Right.
Biblically speaking, that is, the 666 in the Bible. But this names big business, entertainment, and the legal institutions / courts as this unholy trinity of the culture, I guess, that supports or upholds culture. Well, clearly, culture is only a symptom of something deeper rooted in society. Just as a lesion or a sore on the arm denotes cancerous in the body that springs forth with the lesion. So business, entertainment, the legal institutions that are upholding the corruption in our society is only a symptom of something deeper.
I want to, I guess, continue from where Frank left off. I think those three things being the things that define culture are pretty shallow and pathetic and small.
And what was
that?
The entertainment business.
It was big business, entertainment, and legal institutions, or I guess you could call it / court.
Right. Basically, you've got big government, or I'm sorry, big business, entertainment, and then the courts. Basically, he's talking about the Supreme Court sort of decides what right and wrong is. You've got entertainment, which sways people's emotions, the arts, that kind of thing. People experience stuff. And then we're talking about economics. We're talking about big business, corporations, and things like that, and they drive sort of the greed or those kinds of aspects of the culture.
I would also put lawyers under the third.
Sure, the lawyers would fall under the, under
not just
courts and stuff.
The courts, but the lawyers who charge money and push and push and push because that's how they make money.
Yeah.
Lawyers make money when we change laws. I mean, there's this food chain.
Right.
Every time there's a law change, there's this food chain that makes money on it. There's everything from the printing of the paper to the lawyers defending it, to rewriting it, to going out and finding people who are now guilty who weren't guilty before.
And I think nobody disputes that the things that are mentioned here in the article do, in fact, have a high degree of influence on our culture. No question.
Well, I would dispute that they have I would dispute that they affect the culture directly. I think that they have a high impact on the ideas in the culture. But culture is far more than just ideas, right? The way that we think about money is one thing, but what we do with money is another thing, right? The way we create art, why we create art, is different than the art itself, as well as with the court system. So in any culture might have things that they do that are artistic. It might be music and things like that. Okay, you think of someone in Africa, a tribe in Africa that may not be Western in their culture. They're going to have entertainment. They're going to have business. They're going to have trade of some kind, and they're going to have courts and governing things. They're going to have those same things. It's not so much the ideas passed on from those institutions as much as it is the people who live in the culture itself drive it. So I actually think culture begins from the bottom up rather than is affected by the top down.
Right. All I was saying is we can't deny the influence of the three things that he points out. That's all I'm saying.
Let me. You got a text, Robert?
I do have a text, but what Frank was talking about, they were referring that as an unholy trinity,
right,
in the article. Just wanted you to know, but
yeah, the entertainment industry, the big business, and the legal institutions
unholy
are all unholy trinity.
Not calling it anti-culture, but unholy trinity.
But that's just shock language for the sake of being shock language. I mean, they're just coming up with three things, and really there are more than just those three things that define our culture.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely.
Brian, you very well pointed out actually before the mics were on here on the radio that one of the glaring things that's missing is government itself. Actual government regulation, rules, and law. The rule of law is missing, and I think that's probably a bigger piece of this pie than the three things that he mentioned here.
All right, 99.3, we are the truth. And that's not just a name we picked up because it spelled nice or it was available as a URL. Or we believe, if you were to look at our mission statement, you would find that we believe that what goes out over these airwaves are the truth. And obviously there are going to be people that will say, no, that's not the truth. There are people who obviously deny the entire gospel, the entire book, the entire concept of a power greater than ourselves. But that's not the truth, and we know it. And sometimes you just have to stand up and say, I know what's true and I don't. I know what's right and wrong. I know the difference. I'm sorry. You don't get to tell me tomorrow that what today was wrong, tomorrow was right. That doesn't work that way. However, I do want to hear from you whether you think that Christians are the counterculture or are we the culture? That's the question today, 515-244-0077.
Mac, I think...
Just hold on there, cowboy. And on the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line with Bob Montserrat at 515-809-0993. Yes, Mr. Roloff.
I was going to say, I think that the Christians that think that they themselves are anti-culture or counterculture are sadly mistaken, simply because we're fooling ourselves. Because what defines a culture, I would suggest for myself and for all of us, is that a culture is defined by our rituals and our habits and our patterns and the way that we in fact live, the things that we do in our day, the way our day is structured, the things that we give priority to, the way that we orient our life. And most of us in the United States all orient our life the same way. We have the same habits, we have the same patterns. Many people are going to be listening to us today driving home from work. Christians and non-Christians are going to be going to work in the same way that the other people are. We're going to go this weekend and we're probably going to go shopping. We're going to do a lot of the things as Christians that non-Christians do. Our habits, our patterns, the rituals of our lives, the way that we handle stress, the way that we handle relationships, most of those things I think are the same as our neighbor who's a non-believer. And so I'm very much have been for a long time the kind of Christian that said, as a Christian, I'm counterculture. As a Christian, I'm counter the culture itself. But I think as I've studied this issue a little bit on some peripheral things, I've realized that culture is defined not so much by just ideas, but actually by the practices and habits of our life.
So you think that those people are the counterculture and we, the Christians, are the culture?
I think that we're all one culture, and I think the notion that there is a culture and a counterculture is almost a joke. I think that this gentleman in of himself, Truman, is presenting a premise in which doesn't actually play out in reality.
So you're saying that there are just different cultures?
No, I'm saying there's one culture. I'm saying that each one of us, Christians and non, are actually participating in the same culture. Now, the further question needs to be, should we be participating in that culture?
Would you say that there are subcultures within the greater culture?
Well, depend again.
Many people sound like you're making yogurt here.
I was going to say, at some point we're starting to sparse hairs here. What I'm saying is that at a 30,000-foot view, when we say culture is not simply a set of ideas. Culture is more defined by our habits, the things that we do, the rhythm of our lives, the way that we get up, the way that we go to sleep, where we shop, how we eat, the way we clothe ourselves, the way we talk, the activities that we're involved in. Those are the 30,000-foot view things of culture. And everybody who lives in the United States really functions in the same culture by and large.
Okay, Chris, let's have Bob give us the definition of culture according to the dictionary.
Oh, the almighty dictionary.
Well, Chris, you were really close, and you didn't even read it like I'm going to do.
Because I didn't need to.
You just know.
Oh, gee, Minnie, because I don't need to.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. A culture is a way of life of a group of people, the behaviors, beliefs, values, and symbols that they accept, generally without thinking about them, and that are passed along by communication and imitation from one generation to the next.
Notice the beautiful things about that definition. Thank you, Bob, so much for reading them. Some of the key things that I picked up on are things that we do without thought. They're the actions and habits, the things that we pass on to our kids. They're the actual rhythms and rituals of our lives. I often, when I talk about this issue, and I do talk about it with this other people, I don't generally talk about it on the radio, the culture is the air that we breathe. It's so natural for all of us that it's very difficult for us to sometimes even be able to see that we're all participating in the same rhythm in life. And to be countercultural, to be anti-cultural in the culture in which you live is a very difficult thing to do. You know, a lot of times, it was the 60s and the 70s, people talked about living off the grid, right? I mean, that's a radical change in your habits and your routines and your rituals and the way that you live your life. That's countercultural.
Okay, thought here. Pat Buchanan puts forth the term tribalism as opposed to culture, but Thomas Paine endorsed the view that one society or culture shouldn't be held to the past judgments, dictates, moral code of any prior or past society. So in essence, morality moves as society moves. So just wondered your thoughts on that.
Well, society is going to move as we're talking about the morals here. Is that what you're talking about, Mac? I mean, are we morally cultural, part of the culture, or are we morally anti-culture? Is that what you're talking about?
I think morals are a part of it. I think if you call who pays for what morals, I think that's a part of it.
Yeah.
Because the reason I mention this, in some cultures it's okay to eat people. In others it isn't so okay.
Right, but we all live in the same culture where it's not all right to eat people, right?
Well, I know some people from Carlisle that are really strange. All right, 3:34. We're going to take a break. I want to hear from you. 515-244-0077. Christians, are we the counterculture or the culture? We'll talk about it. It's your voice we want to hear live here on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour on this 6th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Max World Live here on 99.3. Glad to be here. If you're a new listener, thanks for listening. We've been on the air for a little less than a year. We'll be on the air in a year here in July, and we thank you for being here. This is a conservative talk station that can say Jesus as often as we want.
Hey, man, can I say something? I really liked what you were saying earlier to our listeners about the fact that our station is named The Truth. And I was thinking about this, if I could share just a minute. You know, one of the interesting things about the name of our station is that the actual truth...
Didn't he ask me, Brian, if he could say something?
Yeah, I didn't wait for you to answer.
Did you hear, and did I say, yes, you're invited into my home? Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris. Jiminy Christmas, you big bully. I'm the station manager. I can say whatever I want. Go ahead. Come on. Go. You're wasting time here. Breathe.
Jesus is the truth. Jesus himself said he is the way, the truth, and the life. And then he added to say that no one comes to the Father except through him. But what's really fascinating about Jesus being the truth is what that means is the truth isn't just an idea, but in fact it's a person and someone that you can have a relationship with. And one of the interesting things, speaking of culture right now, in our culture, we think that we all have the truth pinned, right? Here we are, 99.3 FM, the truth. So people might assume, listening to the station, that everything that comes over the airwaves is, in fact, quote, truth. There's only one truth. Jesus Christ himself is the only truth. My desire is to have a relationship with that truth. And our goal here at 99.3 FM is for Christians who already have a relationship with the truth to continue to develop that relationship by asking stronger questions, better questions, by studying the Bible and by encouraging other people to grow in their walk, but also for those who are seeking the truth seekers that want to know the truth when a world of ideas where our culture is spinning around and we're thinking, what's right, what's wrong, how do I know? I want those people, too, to find that truth is, in fact, a person. It's not a destination. It's a human being that we can have a relationship with. So at 99.3 FM, I would say that the truth is Jesus, and we hope you find him here.
Thank you, Chris Roloff. Next, a wonderful, wonderful little song from my friends Billy and Susie.
Ready?
Here on the Lawrence Welk Show.
Billy.
So we're talking about culture. And what is culture and what is the counterculture? And we're reading an article here from a theologist in England, a very well-known theologist, who is saying that he's proposing that the counterculture is Christianity. The regular culture, the accepted culture, the mainstream, the resident, are those people who constantly want to change things. And let me give you an example. Here's what he writes. Look at what happened in Indiana, or what is being pressed in North Carolina. The will of the boss, quote unquote, aspires to carry more weight than the will of the people. Compared to the sovereign decrees of the unholy trinity, which he says is big business, entertainment industry, and the legal profession, the calls for a grassroots boycott of Target look desperately insipid, and even the presidential election seems like a pharisaical sideshow. Farcical sideshow, thank you. And notice what all this indicates about the myriad of structures in our world, in our culture. Schools, libraries, churches, sports club, the Boy Scouts, etc., all sit under the shadow of increasingly intrusive legislation driven by the imperialist demands of the quote-unquote boss. Such groups do not participate in creating culture anymore. They have merely to conform with what the unholy trinity decrees in its infinite wisdom or face is absolutely it's merciless and inevitable. Let's face it, we now live in a world where refusing a man the right to expose himself in a women's toilet is enough to risk your city losing the right to host a football game. Let me say that again. This is what Indiana is going through. The NFL, well, it's also going on in Carolinas. The NFL is saying, well, you know what? You're not going to get a Super Bowl then. We now live in a world where refusing a man the right to expose himself in a woman's toilet is enough to risk your city losing the right to host a football game. Even to suggest there might be a debate to be had about such a thing is enough to render one liable of accusations of irrational hatred and bigotry. Culture did not bring that about. Anti-culture did. Listen to this. This is really important. Culture did not bring that about. We did. The Christians. The anti-culture. The wholesale putting down of the past and its institutions and a devil-may-care attitude to the future. The anti-culture warriors of this present age have very long, very strong arms, and unfortunately for the coming generations, very short sight. 515-244-0077, that's the number. Frank?
Well, clearly, someone said it earlier, and I had wrote this down, but written it down. The culture is the same thing as the world. We're not to be of the world.
Norm said that.
That's right. So these unholy trinity, the big business, the entertainment, and the legal institutions are mere puppets pulling our strings. Who's the puppet master pulling this unholy alliance's strings?
The accuser.
Well, obviously, who's the father of the world? The father of the world is Satan. So ultimately, Satan is behind this unholy trinity, clearly.
Go ahead.
I'm done. Go ahead.
I don't agree with you, man, because if that's the case, then the devil's behind everything that happens. I mean, that's just that God cares about art. He cares about government. He cares about business. All this stuff of culture that we're talking about, we can't run around and say that the devil is behind this stuff. We can't blame the devil for every bad thing that happens. The reality is that people are sinful and they misuse the good gifts of God.
244-0077, that's the number. Raleigh just called. It's your voice I want to hear. Raleigh, you're live in Mac's World. So who's the counterculture? The Christians or the non-believers?
I believe the Christians are.
Okay. Tell me why.
Well, and if you go back to the truth of the Bible, which, the Bible is all truth, as you guys have talked about, I think the truth of the Bible says there's a parable in there in the Gospels that Jesus was saying to hate all those people that's in in the way of Him. And I mean, you and I, every day we want to share His word with people, but we hold back. But we know that we have to, we should share that word. And the culture that we live in is constantly challenging us to share His word all the time, ever since He said those words in the Bible. So I believe we'll always be the counterculture until He returns.
All right, Raleigh, I agree with you. Now, not everybody in this room does, but I do agree with you, and I thank you for listening.
Okay, let me get back to my point and challenge Chris a little bit in a rebuttal. One of the strategies of big business, entertainment, and the legal institutions, I assume, would be greed. I mean, they're pulling our strings. Big business is pulling our strings through entertainment to spend our money. Any money that is not spent in the kingdom of God is a curse.
What is the kingdom of God? What about when you spend money on? Okay, well, did you spend money on shoes, on a shirt, on glasses, on food to feed yourself? Did you spend money to put oil and gas in your car? And if you use that car and that gas only to serve other people, or do you serve yourself?
Well, that goes to what I'm saying. Anything where our money isn't being used in the furthering the kingdom of God, which is eternal life. So if we're using our shoe leather to further His cause, that's one thing. If we're using our shoe leather to go to the local porn store, that's not in the cause of Christ. So what I'm saying is it's what we're using our money, our effort, our time, our energy to devote to. We're using it to devote to the world. We're using it to devote to God. Clearly, there's things of culture that benefit God. I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying the thrust of this thing is talking about this unholy alliance that this puppet master, this unholy trinity, or these puppets of big business, entertainment, and the legal institutions are out for greed. They're pulling our strings, and we're counter to that as Christians.
All right, think about it. Think about it. Pray about it. And what you say. 515-244-0077. Who's the counterculture? Who's the anti-culture? Is it we, the believers? We, the humble servants of a Lord named Jesus? Or is it the community that tells us old men can go in little girls' bathrooms? And up is down and down is up, and only one life matters. It's coming back next, live.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 4 o'clock, 3:50 in the afternoon, the 6th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I thank you for praying yesterday. I know you did. And if you didn't, today is good too. Yesterday was the National Day of Prayer, and people gathered around the Capitol, and pastors all over the country just prayed for our country, and prayed for our election system, and prayed for the downtrodden, those people that will always be in poverty. You know, the Bible says there will always be poverty. So it just kills me sometimes when I see good people chasing after the ideal that it's possible to live in a world without poverty. Jesus says that's not possible. But we need to continue to try. 515-244-0077 or 515-809-0993. That's the Service Legends Truth text line. Robert, you have some text for me?
Yes, a couple of them. Just a reminder. Whoops, wrong one. Let's see. Jesus was counter to all culture and still is. As fallen beings, Christians may call themselves counterculture, but in reality, we'll never reach that while fallen human beings are here on earth.
I agree.
Next one, culture is only the same as the world. If the culture goes with the world, it is possible to have a counter-world system culture.
Okay. I agree with that one, too. Thank you. All right, let's go to the phones where Matt is standing by, 515-244-0077. Matt, you're live in Mac's World. So are the Christians the anti-culture, or are we the culture?
Well, so you keep referring to the culture as if there is only one. I think that...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I think the important thing to understand is that there's actually a lot of cultures. There's multiple cultures. That's kind of the essence of a pop culture, as people keep calling it. And I think that's part of Truman's point in his article you guys have been referencing. There's not one monolithic culture. And everyone, in fact, Chris said, I think earlier, that everyone kind of makes up in his own mind the way things should be. And we're constantly trying to change things and go against whatever seems to rise to the top as the predominant culture. It's not popular to have a culture anymore. We want to have our own way, self-definition. And I think that the thing that you're trying to hit at, I think, is some of the discussion I'm hearing is actually from Ephesians 2, verse 3. The problem is that the world is all following the prince of the power of the air. Somebody said that Satan is the king of the world, but that's not true. Jesus is the king of the world. But he's the prince of the power of the air, Ephesians 2 says, and he's at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived. It says we all once lived among this culture that was disobedient to God, the king of the world. Disobedient, it says we're living according to the passions of our flesh and the desires of the body and our mind. And so those are the problems, that we're all living according to those things, the passions of our flesh and the desires of our body and the desires of our mind. So those are all warped in our sinful condition. And so that's why we have a problem. And Paul's exhortation is, you have been saved up and out of that. You were dead in those things. Now you've been made alive by God. So we have been taken out of that culture to be counterculture. But as one of the texters said just a little bit ago, nobody does that perfectly. That's why the exhortation of the scriptures is, stop being among the world. Stop being swayed by the desires of the body and mind and passions of the flesh, and instead follow Jesus, the only one who successfully overcame all those things. So
Matt,
that's what I wanted to add in.
Hey, I appreciate it. You have great content here. I appreciate you calling. 515-244-0077. That's the number you can call in at, or the Service Legends Truth Talk text line.
Mac, what kind of radio show is this?
This is my uncle Guido, my great uncle Guido. Who
you let me come stay at your house, and it's a lovely house.
Thank
I like
you.
your house.
Yeah, by the way, he came in the room and he couldn't get in the studio because it's locked.
You don't even have a key door.
Jeff gave him a microphone.
Did you get to do that on the day of your daughter's wedding, or what? How'd you get access to Mac's house?
Talk about my daughter. Don't talk about my daughter.
This is the grandmother I didn't like's her brother's son, right? That would make him
whatever you want to.
Yeah. Well, you kind of flopped into my life a few weeks ago on Facebook,
Like traveling through. I was just traveling through.
Well, and you knew things about my family that only somebody in my family would know. So I believe you are blood.
Gotta do. Blood is thicker than water.
Although I don't have anybody in my family that talks like that. Like you're from The Sopranos or something.
You don't talk so good. I don't know why you do this radio show like this. I don't think anybody even listen to this show. You get this green. What is this? This kid in here.
Guido, this is what I do for a living. I've done it for 40
They pay you for this?
They do. 40-some years.
What on earth?
You saw my house. They pay me well.
It is a nice house. I like your house.
My wife really enjoyed you.
Got a beautiful dog.
What about that swimming pool over there? Did you get to take a dip in the pool?
Beautiful pool. Wouldn't go in it. This guy, he puts his nasty feet in there. And it's just, I don't even know about it. But it's a beautiful house. Beautiful dogs.
Are you afraid of getting some fungus or something over there?
Dude, you have no idea. The socks laying around in his house, they smell like you don't even know.
What are you doing that for?
I apologize.
CJ's gone for the weekend, and I invited you to
I always love to
stay with me and my dogs for the whole weekend.
Well, the dogs even stay away from the socks, don't they?
They do. They do. They don't even want to be around it.
So
I love your house. It's nice. Thank you so much for your house that you let me stay in that.
Well, you're welcome, but you don't just get Clark Blanche to come in and start insulting.
I apologize. It's not. Why you got the door locked though?
Because people like you walk in off the street and think you can walk in.
Oh, that's okay.
Jeb's got a key, but he won't give it to you.
He's got brown pants. I've never seen a kid wear brown pants before.
You don't have brown pants where you're from in Vegas?
No, the black pants.
Hey, will you come in later on and get on camera so everybody can see your handsome face?
Can't do it. I told you already. It's just, my voice is already, I don't even know, a little scared about the whole thing. You know how the mob is. You know how they come after you. They try to find you. They try to hurt you. Don't nobody tell them where you're living in Clive, all that kind of stuff.
Thanks.
Now I've done that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Now I've done that now.
But you're not wanted by the authorities?
Well,
the
I can't
FBI,
talk about
the CIA?
I think I've already got myself in trouble now. I don't even know.
All right, will you just hang around with us for a while this afternoon?
I don't know. It's kind of hot in here.
You're from the desert, dude. You like it hot.
It's kind of hot. I can't say that. Well, you call it's a Jesus station, huh? Like that guy Jesus.
It is Jesus Station. Do you know who Jesus is?
Yes. Go to see him every week.
Do you have a relationship with him, Guido?
Every Sunday I see that man. He's a lovely man. I love that guy.
What kind of denomination do you go to? We didn't talk about that last night.
I'm not allowed to talk about that. Church, they don't like me talking about it.
They don't like you talking about that either. All right, that's my great uncle Guido, who is in town for the weekend. Oh man,
he's in witness relocation.
I don't know. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you. All right, but CJ just kind of fell in love with the old guy last night. It was hard to kick him out, although she did lock the bedroom door last night. All right, we're coming back. Are the Christians the counterculture? Or are those folks the counterculture? It's a great conversation. We want you to participate in it at 515-244-0077. It's coming. It's coming. It is coming. The Truth, live here on 99.3 FM.